Welcome back to another episode of Catching Up with Coach. A lot has gone on since I had my last show. Baseball, everything's been going on. The free agency period, or the second part of it, I should say, has officially begun with Kyle Tucker and now Bo Bichette. I was on here maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I said that Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette will not be a Toronto Blue Jay. In the words of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys, I told us so. Once they signed Okamoto, that was it. After that, Ross Atkins basically said in his press conference, we're taking away playing time from another good player if we were to sign someone else to this team. You would be taking away playing time for Santander, or you'd be taking away playing time from one of Clement or Jimenez. You can view it as, well, those other players, as in Bo and Tucker, are better than those guys. Not disputing that, but money talks at the end of the day. What I mean by that is was only spending what they needed to spend. And they're still paying over $300 million for payroll. That makes them top 3 or 4 in baseball right now. So Rogers has opened up the checkbook. They spent a ton of money this offseason. Kyle Tucker, $60 million a year. He's making more than Ohtani and Soto per year. Obviously, he is not worth that. Ohtani and Soto, especially Ohtani, I mean, they are the elite of the elite. Tucker's a good player, but he's not elite. It's like him and Vladdy are roughly around the same. You want to make an argument that Vladdy's better, or you want to make an argument Tucker's better, okay, I can buy into that. But what the Dodgers just did is to flex their financial muscle. That's what they did. They obviously, in baseball, there's no real salary cap. You pay a luxury tax if you go over a certain number, but the Dodgers are paying like over 400 or 500 million for their payroll. I think it's over 400 million they're at now. But baseball's got a problem. Like they're probably going to go to a strike next year. You can't have one team like the Dodgers pay 400 million in a payroll, and then you got the Miami Marlins paying 69 million. The Dodgers luxury tax bill is set to be over 160 million dollars. That's more than like almost half of the league's payroll. I just think that's a bit of a problem that baseball's going to run into. Now, some might say, well, at least their ownership wants to spend. True. Yeah. You get some ownerships that don't want to spend. I think Miami should spend more. They're a no tax state, for pity's sake. I wish Pittsburgh would spend more. You get Paul Skeens. He's a really good pitcher, up and coming. So you got to have, and the Colorado Rockies are just pitiful. Like it's not an easy thing what's going on in baseball right now. But Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers, I think, basically sealed the fate of a strike next year. Had he gone even to the Mets, it might not have been that bad. Had he come to us, again, not that bad. But going to the Dodgers, who've built literally a super team, is the equivalent of Kevin Durant going to Golden State. And Tucker's not like as good as what KD would be, but it's similar. Like he's going to be like the 5th or 6th wheel on that team. You got Ohtani, you got Betts, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Teoscar, Will Smith, Max Muncy, add Kyle Tucker to the mix. Gosh, the rich get richer. But it does set up a nice narrative, though, I will say. Everybody wants to take down the big empire team. When I was growing up, everyone wanted to take down the Yankees, justifiably so. In basketball, everybody wanted to take down the Miami Heat of like 10 years ago, maybe more like 12 to 13 years ago. And then everybody wanted to take down Golden State. The narrative can be good in that sense, but sometimes there's too much. And the Dodgers, quite frankly, it's too much, I think, for baseball right now. They probably get to level out the parity a bit by putting in a salary cap. I know the other big news as well from not getting Kyle Tucker is Bo Bichette. Now a lot of Blue Jays fans are upset about this. I'm not. I'm a fan of Bo Bichette, by the way. He's a great hitter. He's good for 285 to 300 every single year. Bo is also came up in this system here. Like he's homemade for us, and we don't really have a lot of homemade successes with the Blue Jays. But the World Series and the playoffs changed everything on that. Ernie Clement has the most postseason hits in the game ever. That's quite something. Andres Jimenez, his defense, he's a platinum glove winner. So you have these two guys, and obviously they're not making nearly as much as Bo. So they chose him over Bo Bichette. I get it. It's not like there's a bunch of money out there to go get everybody. And I was a little shocked that Bo got $42 million a year. Like he signed for 3 years. I think it was $140 million, something like that. And sorry, maybe it was 124. He's getting $42 million a year. I do know that. I think it'd be it'd be 126, I believe, over 3 years with the Mets. Why would he do that? Why would he not take the larger contract to guarantee more money? Well, he's betting on himself, as Kyle Tucker is too, because Kyle Tucker's got opted out after year 2. And he's another one after year 3. So when these guys all turn 30, they can get another big contract offer. So it's like, get your money now, and then maybe you sign like another 5 or 6 year deal and get a ton of money then as well, because the cap will go up. And these guys are probably also thinking lockout next year. I think we're headed to that, truthfully. But Bo Bichette going to the Mets, now they said he's going to play third base. I think that's absolutely stupid for the Mets to do that. If you watch Bo does not have a good arm. He's not a great defender. So I do get why you could put him at third, but I don't know how that's really going to work. Obviously, with the bat, it will work. No problems there. But Bo Bichette, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Marcus Semien, they got some bats in the lineup. But they did just lose Edwin Diaz, the best closer in baseball, to the Dodgers. So I don't know what the Mets are going to look like. And they also lost Pete Alonso. So you just replace Pete Alonso more or less with Bo Bichette. It's a pretty good trade-off, I would say. So, yeah, I think I can understand why Jays fans would be upset, especially those who love Bo. And I like Bo too. But I did see this coming. Bo was not long for this team in the same sense that maybe Vladdy was. You had to re-sign Vladdy for a variety of reasons. PR reasons, too. You had to sign Vladdy. So the Jays basically team, I would say, is set. Unless they do some trades, which they very well could with this whole Jose Barrios situation. And Addison Barger will now probably be your right fielder. Anthony Santander, he's got to bring it this year like he did in Baltimore. He's got to have that 25, 30-plus home run season. He's probably got to hit cleanup, too, behind Vladdy. You missed out on Tucker. You didn't re-sign Bo. You're probably going to miss out on Bellinger because, again, I don't know if it's going to make much sense to bring Bellinger in now. If you're not going to bring Tucker in, you're probably not going to bring Bellinger in. And I like Cody Bellinger. He also could play center field. So he's probably going to go back to the Yankees, is my guess. But he is a Boras client. Boras is a good relationship now with the Blue Jays. Dylan Cease, Okamoto, Hyunjin Ryu. We have good relationship with Scott Boras, the super agent, and that's always a good thing. Because Scott Boras more or less runs free agency. You want a good player, you got to go through him, which the Jays have been. They've been forking out the money. And, yeah, so their lineup, look, you're looking at George Springer leading off. Vladdy will hit third. I'm curious to know who they're going to put second in the lineup. Is it going to be Okamoto? Is it going to be Dalton Varsho? Is it going to be someone different? Are they going to put Santander there? I would put Santander in the cleanup, and I maybe would put Addison Barger hitting second because you can go righty, lefty, righty, lefty. I think that's always good for the balance of a lineup. And the Jays, I think hitting got a little bit better. Their pitching, I think, definitely got better. Their bullpen stayed the same. You still have a question mark with the closing position. I would like to see Louis Varland close. I want someone who's got a bit of personality and can throw heat. Hoffman can't throw heat like Varland. Varland was pumping in 100 in the playoffs in like every game. Like to give him an opportunity to close if you're not going to go get a closer. But some of those guys, though, are available during the trade deadline. You always go and get a reliever or two to help bolster the bullpen. I think it's probably going to be their plan. So, not the news that Jays fans wanted to hear, but I can tell you one thing: $60 million. It's not worth it for Kyle Tucker. 42.5 or $42 million for Bo. It's a bit pricey. Really, had the Jays not dragged their feet on Bo, they probably could have had him for cheaper. Had they acted right at the first of the offseason. Or had they not messed around with him in arbitration a couple of years back. They probably could have got something more, or they could have got him for less and had more years, but it doesn't work out that way. The AL East, though, has not really gotten better in terms of, I think the Jays are top still. They're still the favorites. The Yankees haven't spent 10 cents in free agency. Boston's pitching got better, but they lost Alex Bregman. Baltimore clearly got better, adding Pete Alonso and I think Taylor Ward, and their pitching. Baltimore is going to be interesting to see because they have a lot of hitting. So I think right now, if I had to take a guess, I would say the Jays, Baltimore, and the Yankees. Those three right there. I think they're going to be at the top of the AL East. Jays, I think, have the best pitching of the three. I think they definitely have the depth of the rotation. So that gives them an advantage for me. Let's move on. The other night when the Raptors played Indiana, I got some messages from people asking, you're upset over this whole Gradey situation. And I'm not a Gradey stan. Like there are Scotty stans out there. I'm not a Gradey stan. I'm not a nothing stan. I'm just the type of person, make it make sense to me. So a lot of people take the general approach of, well, he's playing like garbage lately. He's forgotten how to shoot. He's at 30%. Why would you play him? You should exhaust options when you have someone like Gradey. What I mean by that is Darku was taking the approach of, he's playing like garbage, so I can't play him as many minutes. Now, Grady's defense has improved this year. It's better than last year's. He's, obviously he's never going to be a great defender. You hope for below average at some point. But I can tell you that playing him less minutes and basically never starting him, that's going to impact the confidence of a player. And what doesn't make sense to me is that Grady Dick started every game as a Raptor last year. Every game. Numbers went up, percentages went up. And here we are starting Jacoby Walter, who I get. Jacoby's defense has been good. And then you're going to go start Jamal Shed. You're going to go start Ochai Abaji. And you've started Mamu and CMB. Some of those guys are different positions. And then you start Jamison Battle. And I'm like, what does Darko have against Grady right now? Because you're killing the kid's confidence. You need Grady Dick. You need him. You need his shooting because he's slinging the ball right now because he doesn't have any confidence. Luckily, the other night, and Leo Routen's pointed this out too, Grady's been playing hard this year. He's doing a little bit of everything. He gave you, I think, 11 rebounds last night and 11 rebounds and 21 points. Mainly it was off of transition buckets. So even though he wasn't shooting well, he was doing other things to be productive. So if Darko is true to his word, anytime anyone else has been productive, oh, you've rewarded with more playing time or a start. You're going to reward Gradey with all these injuries that you have. Don't kill the kid's confidence. It's not a wise thing to do. You need Gradey Dick's offense. You are the offense, this team right now. They're not executing well. They're not making shots. Got a lot of injuries. I think they're last in 3-point percentage. You need to get him going, because if he starts to become a threat, that opens up everything for, Brandon Ingram, for Scotty, for, Quickly if he's back, because you need more shooting. And I refuse to believe that Gradey Dick has forgotten how to shoot the basketball. Take a different approach by giving him more minutes. Start him. Get his confidence up. Don't take the simplistic approach and say, oh, you're not playing well, we're not going to play you any minutes at all. Because that's not good enough when you have all these injuries. If RJ was healthy and Jacoby was healthy, I get it to a degree. You got to play those guys if they're productive. But if you really want to get Gradey going to be productive, start him. Sometimes with players, when you start them in that kind of a situation, it helps them from a psychological standpoint. It's like, oh, my coach is showing confidence in me. And you play him 30 minutes. It's like, oh, my coach is starting to believe in me. I now can develop a rhythm. And anyone knows who's watched Gradey Dick since Kansas know that he's a rhythm player. So play him. Try to jumpstart his offense. Hopefully this kind of works the kinks out of his shot. Because it does look like a sling at times, but I think that's confidence related. I hope Darko rewards him with a start tonight. Everybody else is out. So reward him with a start. Give him the confidence to go out there, because you couldn't use him. And I'm glad that he had the game that he did. Moving on, we're having more trade rumors all over the place. Emmanuel Quickly's contract stinks amongst many in the NBA. And the Raptors obviously are shopping him. Almost shopping to a point where the value of his contract and his play is diminishing. I don't really get the purpose of that. You signed him for a reason. You were hoping that he would be a young guard, that the contract would look better as he, aged, and he would learn to play better point guard. But that just has really not been the case. So now you're kind of stuck with this contract, and you're stuck with the worst extension in franchise history with Pirtle's contract. You gave a 30-year-old a 5-year extension, which makes 0 sense at all, with more money, by the way. It's not like it's a descaling contract. So the Raptors are in a bit of a bind because the league knows they don't have to do anything for them. And now if they are going to try to make a move, what does that mean? You have to give up draft picks. You've done it yourself by throwing out $25 million, $30 million contracts to all these guys. Now you're an expensive team, and it's hard to make trades right now. They can, but they're going to have to attach draft picks. Hopefully there's going to be some protections on some of these, but Raptors always need draft picks coming in here. We're not bad at developing, especially in the past. But at the same time, we're not elite at developing prospects. Probably somewhere in the middle. This isn't what it was a decade ago when you were developing Pascal and OG and Fred and Norm and some of those guys. DeMar developed. Lowry developed. It's not quite there. But you still need draft picks. So any deal involving Quickly or Pirtle, you're going to have to attach a draft pick. I thought what was interesting today I saw is that the Sacramento Kings are shopping DeMar DeRozan. Why this is relevant to Toronto is because of Sabonis. So Sacramento right now has DeMar, They got Zach LaVine. They got Malik Monk. Got a lot of those guard wings type players. So they're not going to want an RJ Barrett. Obviously, I don't want to shop RJ, but you read the tea leaves. If you want to deal with Sabonis, RJ has to be included along with Pirtle. I don't know if they want to take on Quickly's money. So if you're going to shop Pirtle, maybe get off his contract, you got to put RJ in there too, and possibly a pick. So to get Sabonis, basically, DeMar DeRozan would have to be traded. That leaves them, puts them down a wing player, and then they could use a wing. And that might help facilitate a deal to eventually get Sabonis if the Raptors want him. And Sabonis should be playing tonight. He's scheduled to play. So I'm curious to watch over the next few games what he looks like on the basketball court, because he had a partial meniscus tear. They're fairly common in basketball, and usually people come back from them pretty well. It just takes time to heal. But I'm watching the Sabonis thing. I think there might be something there because it makes sense with the money. It makes sense in terms of what he could bring. And there's a bit of stability with Sabonis that's not there with AD. I like what AD could bring, hypothetically, because of what he can do both ends of the floor, but he's aging. Rich Paul's constantly said we want max extension, so he looks at us because we gave Brandon Ingram an extension, so maybe we'll give AD an extension. Bobby, be wary. Be careful. Everywhere AD goes, people get tired of the injuries. It's a risk. Unless you bring in AD, let the contract run out, and then you have a bunch of money left over, or you get him for this year, and then you look to move him in the summer. Try to get more picks for young players. Obviously, I hope it works out, but the issue with getting AD now is the injury that he has. He's out until March. Your season could be done by that point. So if you throw out RJ and Pirtle and say, see you later, and you bring in Anthony Davis, you're going to be down 2 starters. You're not very big to begin with. And you could find yourself in the bottom of the play-in or worse out of it. And March rolls around, it might be too late. If AD was healthy right now playing, it's different. That's why I'm giving Sabonis more of a look right now, because he could come in now and help you. But we'll see how this works out. That's it for today, people. Thank you very much. And I've got a few people watching right now. That's great. Thank you for the support and subscribers. Please like, please subscribe to this. I enjoy doing kind of thing. So please take care and enjoy your weekend.